Three positioning mistakes that are costing you 25K opportunities. So $25,000 opportunities. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me make sure that I got y'all over here on Instagram. There we go. All right, we are ready. So I'm going to be talking about three positioning mistakes that are costing you 25,000 and above opportunities. But before I get into that, I want to lay a little groundwork for you. And for those of you who haven't met me before, I am Kelly Charles Collins. I'm affectionately known as the Speaker Mogul, and I advise established women professionals and expertpreneurs. Expertpreneurs are women who make money from their mind, and I advise them on how to position, package, and price your expertise so that you can secure 5 and 6 figure contracts. So that's what I'm all about. So for all of you who are always saying, Kelly, how do I find paid speaking engagements? How do I get paid more? I know that's what you want to know, but you got to understand your positioning first. Positioning comes before any of those things. So, what exactly do I mean when I talk about positioning? Because I know you hear positioning and you hear branding. They are not the same thing. So, let's just talk about what these two things are. So for me, when I talk about positioning, what I'm talking about is what I call my W's. And so when I say my W's, this is what I mean. When we're thinking about positioning and I'm working with clients, I am looking at and making sure that they're doing the internal work to find out who they are. So, who are you right now in the space that you're in, whether you're transitioning from corporate into entrepreneurship or you've already transitioned into entrepreneurship and you're a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant, you're running your business already and leveraging speaking in some way. Like, who are you in this moment? And then we want to look at, well, who do you want to be? Like, who do you want to become? Who do you want people to see you as? Right. So there's who you are now, but who do you want to, what's the vision for your life? So who you are now, who you want to become, and who do you want to become that person for? So when I say that, I'm talking about like who are your ideal clients? And when we're talking about your ideal clients, we're talking about two types of clients. We're talking about your consuming client or your consuming audience, and we're talking about your buying audience. Then we want to know what problem do you solve for them? And it's not just any and every problem, it's the specific problems that you solve for those specific people. And you need to know what those problems are. In addition to knowing what those problems are, you need to know how you, so this is an H, but it's like really what is the unique mechanism? So either how you solve it or what is the unique mechanism, framework, system, process that you use to solve those particular problems, because that's your differentiator. So when you're thinking about positioning, part of it is that you have to be differentiated from everybody else who's doing the same thing that you're doing. The other thing that you need to understand is why. Why do you want to solve this problem? Why do you want to solve it this way? Why do you want to solve it for these people? Why do you want to be this person in the world? What is the impact that you're trying to create? And the reason that you need to understand the why is because that is the true foundation. And when I'm working with clients around developing their signature talks, I really work deeply with them on figuring out their why, because the why is what is going to drive them. That why is the thing that allows you to be able to speak about your topic on a whim at any moment, without notes, with notes, whether the PowerPoint goes down, the lights go out, it doesn't matter. If it comes from your why, you'll never forget it. So this is really important as part of your positioning. And then the other why in terms of positioning that I work with clients on is, why should anyone care enough? So that buying audience, why should they care enough about what you want to solve and the way that you want to solve it enough to want to pay you? So understanding your positioning, if you think of that like your internal GPS, it's what your foundation is. If you're thinking about construction, right? It's the foundation upon which the house is built, and then where all of the pretty things come in, which is the branding. Okay. So positioning is the strategy work. It's the internal strategy work. It's setting you up. On the other side of that is branding. Think of branding as the expression of your positioning. Positioning comes first, branding comes second. Your branding is the things like your logo, your colors, your voice, your messaging, how people experience you, how people experience your positioning. Those are the things that come within your brand, right? So positioning is the strategy and branding is the expression of that strategy. So when you're thinking about, building your business and developing your business as an expertpreneur, somebody who uses their mind to make money, then you have to first make sure that you are positioned powerfully and profitably, so that you're not out here with 10 years of experience, 20 years of experience, and people are saying to you, oh, yeah, let's do this for exposure, or yeah, we'll give you $500 for you to come and train our entire team of executives and change their whole world and their whole life, but we're going to pay you $500, right? Or we're going to do this for free. And so you have to understand where you're positioned first, so that when you have those types of conversations, you understand your true value. So today, what I wanted to just chat with you about is three mistakes that I see with expertpreneurs. And I want to go through them with you. I'm going to give you examples, and so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And beyond this, if you want to go further, right? This is not going to be very long. So if you want to go further and deeper and really establish your profitable positioning, I'm going to invite you to join me at Positioned for Profit. It's November 3rd through 5th. It's a 3-day virtual intensive, yes, live, where I'm going to be training you. We have 6 other featured experts who are going to be training you. My sponsors, Go High Level and Verizon Business, they're also going to have experts who are training you. It's going to be a whole thing. This is not just some other little masterclass or whatever that you sign up for. Oh no, we're going to be doing the work. And because I love AI, we're going to be leveraging AI so that I can show you the power of leveraging it as something that enhances what you do, not take over what you do. There still needs to be human intelligence, which is you and your strategic thinking. But how do you take that strategic thinking along with the custom AI tools that I have built based on my expertise, my wisdom, the knowledge that I teach my clients? And we put those things together, and I'm going to help you with your positioning, help you with your content strategy, and help you with your revenue roadmap. So those are the things that we're going to be doing November 3rd through 5th. So go grab your ticket now, because prices are going to increase. I'm just saying that. So go grab your ticket today. I'm going to put in the comments. I'm posting a comment right now, positionedforprofit.com. If you see the QR code up in the top of the screen, you could just scan that QR code and go directly there and grab your ticket. All right. So let's talk about these 3 positioning mistakes. And we're going to start with number 1. Let me see. Let me make it bigger for you. So mistake number 1, and wherever you are, if you're watching, say hello. If you have any questions, definitely ask me any questions. If you watch this on a replay, drop the questions in the comments, or comments in the comments, and I will certainly make sure that I respond to them. Okay, so let's talk about the first mistake that you make. And the first mistake is generic expert positioning. So, what does that look like? Because it's one thing for me to say generic expert positioning, but what does that look like? You'll see for each of these mistakes, I'm going to show you the difference between speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants, because that's who I work with. And so I want to give everybody an example of what I mean as it relates to the specific mistake. So, mistake number 1, generic expert positioning as a speaker. Who out here is saying, I'm a keynote speaker on leadership? What do we know? Everybody talks about leadership. And basically any topic that you talk about could be attached to leadership. So if someone asks you, what do you do, or how do you help your clients, and you talk about being a keynote speaker on leadership, or a speaker on leadership, or I'm a leadership speaker, I'm a leadership trainer, That's very generic. It doesn't do anything to position you outside of the masses of people who also do that. So here's another way that you could say it. You could be very, very specific and you could say, I help mid-sized manufacturing companies. So there you could figure out what whoever your client is, right? So you can see I help, I teach, I coach, I guide, whatever verb that you want to use, mid-sized manufacturing companies. So whoever that ideal client is, turn disengaged floor managers into leaders. So here you're addressing the problem. So you're addressing the current state. So they have the current state as disengaged floor managers into leaders, which is what they want, right? So this is their desired transformation, is that these people who are disengaged floor managers become leaders who reduce turnover by 40%, right? So we have, what do you do? Who do you do it for? Right? So I guide, help, again, train, teach. Who to do what, right? Who has a problem? And then you're so desired this current state and then desired state. Y'all, I am not feeling well today. So my brain is like all over the place. Okay, but this is the client, mid-sized manufacturing companies turn disengaged floor managers. This is the problem that they're experiencing, into leaders who reduce turnover by 40%. Leaders who reduce turnover by 40% is the desired transformation. Okay. So now people know exactly what you do, who you do it for. The other thing that you could add on to the end of this is using remember I said, what is your unique mechanism? This is where you can put your frameworks, your methodologies, your systems, your processes, if you want to make this even more specific and even more differentiated. Now, if you're a coach, some people say, I'm an executive coach. Well, what does that mean? You got to be very specific. So, a way to specifically say that is, I coach women leaders in male dominated industries to get the board seat without changing who they are. Now, that's very clear. Now I know exactly who I'm talking to. So, I know that your clients are women. They're women leaders. They work in male dominated industries. So, think of tech, think of finance, think of law, right? And not only are there women who are in these male dominated industries, they are women who want to get on a board, right? So you say to get the board seat. So this is very, very specific. So you're really niching down without changing who they are, meaning they get to be exactly who they are. So those who don't want to change, but want to be on these boards, if you say that's who you work with, then they can find you. Trainer. So let's just see if we're talking to a trainer. A trainer. I'm a sales trainer. Again, very generic. No, what you could say is I train financial advisors to have wealth transfer conversations that turn single clients into multi-generational relationships. Again, just seeing how very specific. And if you look at these, everyone has the same type of pattern, right? What do you do? Who's the client? So train, who's the client? Financial advisors to do what? Have wealth transfer conversations that turn single clients. So right now, the current state is they have single clients, but you want to have wealth transfer conversation that turns single clients into multi-generational relationships. Now let's look at this one. If you're a consultant, right? So we're getting past generic expert positioning. If you're a consultant and what you say is, I'm a marketing consultant, nobody knows what you do. So you have to say, I help accounting firms stop competing on price by positioning their expertise so ideal clients seek them out for advisory work, not just tax prep. So if you have accountants who are out here like, people just talk to me about tax prep, but that's not what I do. Like, that's not the only thing that I do. I do provide advisory services. I do talk to them about how they can best, manage their money and their cash flow and looking at their P&Ls and all the other stuff. If that's who they're looking for somebody to help them to shift their positioning and shift their business, then your positioning has to speak to that. Okay. So that's the first one. The mistake number one is this idea of generic expert positioning. If you are not specific, it is costing you money. All right. Now let's look at mistake number two. So, mistake number two is resume based positioning. This happens a lot when we are just transitioning out of corporate into entrepreneurship. And I was a lawyer for, I just celebrated 3 decades of being a lawyer, a trial lawyer. And I understand that because we're so used to the doing, we're so used to what did we do. And whenever we're going to look for a job or look for anything, we have this resume. And what do they want to know? They want those bullet points, and it's supposed to start with a verb, and you're supposed to show what you did, what you accomplished. When you're coming into entrepreneurship as an expertpreneur, however, people want to know, like, how are you going to solve their problem, and you have to use that solution based language in your positioning, not resume based, not title based. So if you look on LinkedIn and you read people's headlines, oftentimes, even though people are entrepreneurs, they are still having headlines that are titled based. What is their job title, as opposed to showing people, potential clients, the solution, the problems that they solve, so that people understand that, oh, you work with people like me to help solve my problem. So let's talk about resume based positioning. Again, giving you examples for all different for the 4 categories. So let's talk about as a speaker. So as a speaker coming out of the corporate space, you may say, or even if you've done all this speaking, right? So you see a lot of speakers who've been speaking for a very long time. And so you may say, I have 20 plus years of speaking experience, 500 plus stages, and I'm a TEDx speaker, right? And so if you're submitting an application for a conference stage, you're submitting to a corporation, this might be something that you would put in your pitch. It might be something that you put in the application. But how about saying something that's more solution focused? So if you were submitting for a conference, how about I help conference organizers turn another forgettable session into the talk everyone's still quoting 6 months later? Like, can you imagine if a conference organizer saw something like that? That would be totally different than what everybody else is putting in their applications. Now, all of you don't go put the same thing. I want you to think about what that would look like for you. So, what is the solution focused positioning that you could have as a speaker if you're applying to be on a conference stage? If you're a coach, you may say, as a resume based type of positioning, you may say ICF certified. I see this all the time, right? Everybody who has their coaching certifications, 15 years of coaching, worked with Google and Amazon. Those are all great. Those are all great credibility markers. What it does not do is does not position you as someone that I would hire as a coach, because I don't know what you do for me. What's in it for me? We have to always remember, people are always looking at that. So a solution focused positioning statement for a coach who has those credentials could be, I help high potential directors break through the invisible ceiling and land VP roles within 18 months. Now, you can see help. It could be I help, I coach, I train, I guide, I advise. Whatever verb makes you feel good and makes you feel powerful is what you should put there. But I help high potential directors break through the invisible ceiling and land VP roles within 18 months. So instead of talking about who you are, that you're ICF certified and 15 years of coaching, you're really speaking to your ideal client. Now let's look at a trainer. A trainer may say, again, resume based positioning, certified facilitator, MBA, trained 10,000 plus professionals. Great, fantastic. That's all good. However, I don't know what you do, and I don't know who you do it for. I don't know what problems you solve. So if we were doing a solution focused, you may say, I turn training that gets forgotten by Tuesday into skills your team actually uses every single day. This is an ROI, right? Return on investment, solution focused positioning. This for corporations is like, Oh, okay. Now I see. I'm going to get my money's worth. So you're going to train my people. And it's not going to be that they just sat there for this hour, this 2 hours, this day. They got all this. And then by tomorrow, they don't even remember any of it. Right. No, you're saying, listen, I'm going to turn this training. I'm going to give this training, and your client, your team is going to remember it and be able to implement it over and over and over again. So you're going to get a constant, consistent return on your revenue if you hire me as your trainer. The fourth one, let's talk about consultants. If you have resume based, you might say that you are a former McKinsey, Harvard MBA, 25 years in strategy. Now, listen, those are some good credentials right there, honey. Those are some good receipts, right? Hey, Nicole. I'm over here on hey, Darla. I'm over here on Instagram just checking in on y'all. Thanks for joining. Right? Those are some really great credentials. However, again, I don't know what you do and I don't know who you do it for. So why would I even hire you? So if I'm going down LinkedIn and this is what I see as your headline, this does nothing for you. People are going to scroll over. You should be getting 25,000. You should be getting 50,000. You should be getting six figures with all of these credentials. But I maybe you're just looking for a job as far as I'm concerned, right? So what's a solution focused one? You could say I help B2B companies stop sounding like everyone else so they can finally escape the price war trap. Right? We know that when we compete on price, then we become a commodity. And the only race on price is the race to the bottom. Right? People are not like, oh, I'm going to charge more. No, we go down. Right? So that's the race to the bottom. So if your client doesn't want to race to the bottom and they don't want to be in this price war trap, and you're saying, listen, I have the goods and I can help you, then you have to let them know that, right? So that they understand. Now, once they see that and you're doing your bio or you're doing some other positioning in your marketing materials, on your website, on your social media, then you could talk about, former McKinsey, Harvard MBA, because that adds validity to what you're saying that you can help them with. All right. So mistake number two is resume based positioning. So mistake number one was all about generic positioning. Mistake number two, which again, a lot of you coming out of the corporate space into the entrepreneurial space make, is this resume based positioning. And I don't blame you because that's what you've been taught, right? So my job, my role as a strategic advisor is to work with you so that you understand that that skill set, all of those things that you did with those titles are skills that you can then position powerfully and profitably in the entrepreneurial space so that you can make money from your mind. Okay. All right. Now let's go to number three. Mistake number three. Mistake number three, you don't have a clear path to premium, right? So this is really essential for you to be able to charge higher rates. I know people tell you, oh, just raise your price. No, don't just raise your price, right? You have to be able to back up that pricing. You have to be able to give that value. I always talk about it being a value exchange. So someone's paying you money, you're going to give them and their teams or their audience some type of transformation or some type of shift. That's the value exchange, right? And so when you're thinking about your positioning, and this is why I talk about positioning, packaging, and pricing, because it all goes together. This all is part of how you brand yourself and how you get to be able to command and demand these 5 and 6 figure contracts. So let's talk about what you are maybe saying to people, right? Or that you don't have, which is a signature offer, and how that's showing up to people as you're not ready for the moment. So I'm not going to pay you 5 and 6 figures, right? So let's see. So if you're a speaker, right, you might not have a signature offer. And so when you're speaking to someone, you're having a discovery call or you're having a sales conversation, you may say, let's discuss your event needs and I'll send a custom proposal. This is something that I see a lot with speakers, that you're always customizing. So speakers, trainers, coaches, everything's custom. Every presentation is custom, every proposal is custom, like every single thing is custom. You cannot operate like that. It's going to drive you insane. Your business cannot be sustained with you customizing something every single time for every single person. So instead of saying, let's build your event needs and I'll send a custom proposal, you should have a signature offer. Now, does this mean that you don't customize pieces of it? No, that's not what I'm saying. But we are not recreating the wheel every single time. You're going to have custom offer, or maybe you'll have a couple of custom offers, and then you'll be able to customize as needed. One of the things that Position for Profit that's coming up in November is part of what I call the Road to the Six. And the Six is a Speaking Industry Expo, which is going to happen in March. And in March, we're going to work on building your offers. What we're doing in November is really starting to get your foundation together and get you thinking about that and working through that up until March so that we understand in March, like, what are the offers that you really needed to be putting together. And again, we'll be leveraging AI to do that. So if you go and register for Position for Profit, you'll see that there's some bundle deals that include both November and March. And I promise you, these rates are not going to happen again, and they're going to increase. They're going to increase in about a week or so. So go get your ticket now. Scan the QR code or go to positionedforprofit.com. Positioned the number 4profit.com to get your to grab your seat. So let's look at a speaker who's generally saying, let's discuss your event needs and I'll send over a custom proposal for you. What you should have is a signature offer. So let's think about what that signature offer could look like. So it could be your conversion keynote system, right? So it's a 60-minute keynote. You may do a pre-event audience survey, and then you do a 30-day implementation toolkit. So this is how you can then say, and this is $25,000. Now, if you're like me, I'll charge you $25,000 for a keynote. Right? And I don't need to do any of these other things. However, sometimes you don't feel comfortable or it's part of your process, right? And so I may have a single keynote that's 25,000, but I may also, depending on what I want to do, go to this whole point about customizing. You may say, okay, well, for this client, after having this conversation, the way that you can customize that is say, listen, my keynotes are usually 25,000. However, after speaking with you and understanding what you want to have happen, I'm willing to add in my, pre-event audience survey. So I make sure that I understand what your audience is going through, maybe what some of their real urgent pain points are. And that's a way that you can customize. Or, and I'll add on a 30-day implementation toolkit, right? So you're giving them some type of continuity asset or some type of, instead of just giving them information, you're actually helping them do the work, which is very important to me. I am all about implementation because information is free. We can get information all day long, everywhere, through chat, through Perplexity, Claude, everywhere, YouTube University, all the things. It's not the information. People are not lacking information. People are lacking implementation. So if you add in implementation, right, this is a way to add value. Now, this might be your regular offer anyway. It depends on what you want to do. And this is why I built Octavia. So Octavia is our offer design consultant. She is part of our expertpreneur team. She's our AI team member. And what she will do in March is help everyone to analyze what their expertise is, their pricing, how they work with their clients, the problems that they solve, and help them to design their offers. So if you want to be able to do that, make sure that you come to the 6th in March. Make sure that you come to Position for Profit in November. All right. So speakers, that's something that you can do. If you're a coach, again, I offer one-to-one coaching tailored to your goals. If you do that, your life is going to be miserable. If you're trying to tailor, can you imagine having 50 one-to-one clients and having to tailor every single thing? Now, again, what I don't want you to do is listen. I'm going to say miss listen, not miss hear me, miss listen to what I'm saying. I am not saying that you don't make sure that you are taking care of individuals based on their problems. What I'm saying is that you need to have something already in place that you can 10 to 20% if you need to customize for that particular person. You cannot continue to just create things over and over and over and over and over again, right? So what could you have for your signature offer if you're a coach? And again, these are just examples. The sky's the limit and it's just whatever you can imagine. So a signature offer could be the VP pipeline program, right? So that could be the name of it. And it's a 6-month intensive. It has biweekly sessions. It has something that you call LinkedIn authority building. So maybe that's helping them with their headline and their about page and making sure that their featured section is set up properly and that their experience section, that their whole billboard and their banner for LinkedIn is set up properly and powerfully. And then you also have executive presence training. And that could be $18,000. That could probably be $25,000, depending on all that you do. It can be 50 or more $1,000. Again, one of the things that we'll be teaching at the six and leveraging at the six is my authority pricing model. And one of the reason that I developed that model is because I realized, especially coming from corporate spaces into entrepreneurial spaces, especially women, especially Black women, we have been in those corporate spaces making six figures, making multiple six figures, making billion-dollar decisions, leading teams, doing all the things, right? And over there, we're like, run me my money. And then we come into the corporate space, into entrepreneur space, and it's like, okay, you want me to speak for free? Oh, I'm just gonna charge you $500 for that. The same stuff, the same work that you were doing. And somebody was paying you six figures, multiple six figures, right? That same work now, because you're the one in charge and you're the one doing it, and this is your business, somehow you feel that there is less value. So I developed the authority pricing model because I wanted to show you that your experience, the work that you do, these numbers that I'm showing you, that they are market validated. And so I built Octavia, the offer design consultant, based on that expertise, based on that framework, based on that methodology, so that when you input your data and she analyzes it and she advises you, you can see, you can feel clear and confident that that number is the right number and it's not something that's just made up, which is what pricing and speaking generally is. It's just made up. Why do some people charge 1,500 and some people charge 50,000? Because they decided that's the number they wanted to. That's that's really just the truth of it all, right? And so you have to understand these things. And so when I'm talking about position, packaging, and pricing, I'm not just talking about making up stuff. I'm not here to just help you make up stuff. I want to make sure that you have the clarity, that you have the confidence, that you have the credibility behind you to make sure that all of these things that I'm teaching you about positioning, packaging, and pricing can stand up to anybody asking any questions or trying to, invalidate you in any way. Because the first person who will invalidate you is you. So we got to make sure that that does not happen. All right. So let's move on. I just wanted to share that with you. So all of the AI team members that I'm developing them based on my expertise, based on the things that I know work, that are proven from my own experience and also from the successes of my clients. Okay. All right. So, in Position for Profit in November, we'll be working with a few of the AI team members. And then in March, we're going to be working with even more of the team members. All right. So, if you're a trainer, let's talk about why you don't have right now a clear path to premium. Because you might be saying, again, we can customize the program for your team. I had a client. This is one of the things that she was doing. She was always customizing, always customizing, always customizing, which meant that now she had so much stuff. Many of you are like her. You have all kinds of stuff. You have all kinds of videos and trainings and courses and ebooks, and you got all the things. And you just keep making stuff over and over. So you make it and you put it down. You make it and put it down because you've made it for that person. Here's the thing, it's your intellectual property. And so what you have to start thinking about is, how do I catalog all of that stuff? How do I look at that stuff as products? And not just, oh, I'm just, every time somebody hires you, y'all think you're couture designers or couture, I think is how you say it. My Saber Mochaccino, who helps design some of my stuff, he'll probably say, Kelly, that's not how you say it. It's not couture, it's couture, I think it is. Anyway, whichever it is, bespoke. Um, this is not what you do, right? This cannot be what you do in order to have a sustainable business. So again, customizing doesn't mean 100% has to be customized. You can customize just a little bit of it. One of the things that I used to do in customizing, and this is something that you could take and do. One of the things that you can do is, like, when you have a signature talk, for example, I used to train on unconscious bias. If I was training HR professionals, I would talk to them about my experience as an employment lawyer, defending those types of cases, defending companies in those types of cases. So I would use my experiences and my expertise and examples and stories from that, because that relates to them as HR professionals, right? Relates to culture and what's happening in the workplace. When I would train on unconscious bias and I would train lawyers, I would tell them and share stories with them based on my role as a lawyer and my experience as a lawyer. That's how I would customize that one training for different audiences. So customization does not require a complete overhaul. I just want to make sure that you understand that. Okay, so instead of, as a trainer, customizing a program for your team every single time, you may have a 90-day sales velocity program. So say you're a sales trainer, right? So you have a 90-day sales velocity program. That's what you call it. It's 6 workshops. You do deal coaching. You will help them create a playbook. And again, the playbook will already be a playbook. You will already have a framework for your playbook. You may just customize and tweak pieces of it so that it relates to them. And for that, you could charge them $45,000 for a cohort of 15. Again, we would use the authority pricing model to make sure that that fits in with your expertise and that it can be market validated, right? Based on your experience and your expertise. But these are just examples. But you could do 45,000 for a cohort of 15 people, right? And you see all of these things have names. Give them names. Because what happens when you give it a name? You position it. Guess what? Nobody else has that same name, or they shouldn't. Make sure that you check, right? They shouldn't have the same name. All right. Now let's go to our fourth. Our fourth is our consultant. So again, no signature offer. And you're speaking to someone, you say, hey, I'm a consultant, I'm a marketing consultant. And they say, okay, great. How can we work together? And your response is, well, every engagement depends on specific challenges. Yes, true. But those specific challenges, remember we went back to when I was talking about the W's of positioning. What problems do I solve? You should have a universe of problems that you solve. And you should have a unique mechanism for how you solve those problems. So it's not just any and every problem. You want to make sure that you're positioned to bring in the people who have the problems that you want to solve and that you're equipped to solve, right? That you have the expertise and the experience to solve. So instead of just, oh, it's, every man for himself or every woman for herself, your signature offer could be the positioning sprint. And again, what's the positioning sprint? It's a 4-week intensive, right? To rebuild your market position. You may have work with them on a messaging framework and also on sales enablement. And that could be $35,000. So now you have put together a package and you're taking them on a journey. If you see all of these things, take your clients on a journey. And because they are pieces of a thing, You can then, inside of those things, create your customizations. But what you know is that the positioning sprint has an intensive, it has messaging, and it has sales. What you know is that the 90-day sales velocity program has 6 workshops, deal coaching, and playbook creation. What you know as a coach is that your VP pipeline program has the 6-month intensive with biweekly sessions, LinkedIn authority building, and executive presence training. What you know as the speaker for your signature offer, the conversion keynote system, is that there's a 60-minute keynote, there's a pre event audience survey, and there's a 30-day implementation toolkit. When you work and position yourself in a way, so you've already done the positioning work, so you have that internal GPS, you have that strategy, you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing in the world and for whom and how you're going to do it and why they should care enough to pay you for it, right? And you don't make mistake number one, which is generic positioning, but you specifically position yourself, right? You don't make mistake number two in that you just put out a resume, right, as your value proposition, your one liner, your headline, whatever you want to call it. And then you don't make mistake number three in that you don't have a clear path to people understanding why they should be paying you 25K, 30K, 50K, 100K or more, right? So we got to make sure that we are not creating and we're not making these mistakes. This is vitally important. So for those of you who are always asking, Kelly, how do I get paid speaking engagements? How do I get high paying speaking engagement? It starts with positioning. It all starts with positioning. I don't care what anybody else tells you. They can teach you how to sell. They can teach you how to market. They can teach you how to overcome objection. They can teach you all of those things. If your positioning is not powerful and profitable, it doesn't matter what all of those things are. So remember, positioning first, branding second, because you can't brand what you haven't positioned. Positioning equals strategy. Branding equals expression of that strategy. So if you need support, if you're like, Kelly, those examples were great. However, I have tried this. I have tried this multiple times. People have tried to help me. I cannot figure out what my true profitable, powerful positioning is. I got you. I got you. All you have to do is come to Position for Profit, November 3rd through 5th. It is a virtual intensive. It's 3 days, 4 hours each day, at least 4 hours each day. It is going to be all in. We are going to be doing the work. So there's going to be training, but it ain't a lot of just, sitting around doing nothing. We are going to do the work. Day one, we're going to be working on mindset, but mindset along with your positioning. So day one, you'll leave. See that positioning statements we were just talking about? You're going to have yours, right? When you leave, you're going to have yours. So Paisley, who is my AI team member, she's going to help you with your positioning, right? Between my training and Paisley, we're going to make sure that you leave on day one with that positioning statement. Day two, we're talking about message. Always say no message, no money. And so day two, we're going to be talking about your messaging, but we're going to talk about messaging in a little different way on day two. Generally, when I'm talking about messaging, I'm talking about your whole signature talk. We're not going to be talking, we're going to talk generally about signature talks, but what I want you to leave with on day two is a content strategy. Many of you already know your area of expertise, right? So Chloe, who is our content collaborator, she's again an AI team member. Chloe is going to help you work through your expertise so that we can develop a 90-day marketing plan for you and also a 30-day content strategy. So you'll leave with both of those things on day two. Day three, we're going to be talking about money, 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 money. Right? I'm not gonna say the rest because I can't sing. We're gonna be day three, we're gonna be talking about money. And so what we're doing on that day, so we're gonna have Renee, who is another AI team member. So she's going to help you with developing your revenue roadmap. So it's whether it's to your first or your next 25,000 or your 100,000 or your 500,000, whatever it is, Renee is going to help you to develop your revenue roadmap. All of these things are things I want you to be working on for the next 4 months as we get to March, 4 or 5 months, as we get to March for the 6th, so that when you come to the 6th in March, you can talk about like what you've been doing and what has worked and what hasn't worked so that you don't come in there cold. Now, do you have to come to Position for Profit to go to the 6th? No, but I would encourage you to do that. So we're going to be working. So also at Position for Profit, we're going to have 6 featured expert guests, and they're going to be talking to you about the different things. So they're going to be talking to you on Mindset Day. So we have a couple of experts on Mindset Day. We have a couple of experts on Messaging Day, and then we have experts on Money Day. And in addition to all of this, like this is when y'all go see the price and I tell you all the stuff that you're getting, when you go see the price, you're gonna be like, you're nuts. And yeah, I am nuts, but I'm doing this one time. So you better get in there. Our sponsors, so our presenting sponsor, Go High Level, they are going to be doing a training. And they'll do their training on Message Day because I want them to show you how to leverage their system around your authority building, right? And around your clients and your leads. And then I don't know the exact content yet. We're working on it for Verizon Business. They're going to have a speaker, but they're going to be talking about AI. So listen, I'm all in on AI. I love it. It will save you time, effort, energy, like all the things. So if you're not using AI, come experience it and let me show you why you should be using it. So again, that's what we're going to be doing November 3rd, November 4th, November 5th of 2025. You don't have to go, you could be anywhere. You could be on the beach because it's virtual. Just make sure that you're there. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern every single day. We are going to put in the work. We're going to have a good time. We are setting you up for success as you go into 2026. Yes, it's the last quarter, but we still got time, right? We still got time to do stuff. And so we're going to be doing that so that you can be powerfully positioned and also be prepared as you come into March. And also December, January, and February, we'll have some other intensives. But for now, just let's focus on Position for Profit. Can't scan the QR code. Get the link in the comments wherever you are, positioned the number 4 profit.com, and grab your tickets right now. Right this minute, tickets are the lowest they're going to be. They are going to increase. And if you know, like I know, you would grab a bundle ticket that includes Position for Profit, all of the other intensives that I'm going to do in December, January, February, and also your ticket for March. I'm telling y'all, I have lost my mind with what I'm doing, but I really want to make sure that we are that you get what you need. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. I'll be back this week. I'm gonna do some other lives this week and continue to do lives and just really helping you to understand a lot of the foundation work that is so important if you really want to be an expertpreneur who commands and demands 5 and 6 figure and more contracts. All right, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop them in the comments. Let me know your ahas and your takeaways. Share this with 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 people who need to see it. And I will see you November 3rd through the 5th. Go grab your ticket today. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. If I tell you it's $100 just for Position for Profit right now, it's $400 to get Position for Profit, all of the other intensives, and a 2-day ticket to the 6th, and it's $650 to get all of that and the mogul ticket. Listen, y'all know I am crazy, but this is one time. This is one time, and the prices are going to increase. So if you're thinking about it, go grab it now. There are payment plans, there's funding, there's no reason for you not to do what you need to do, except that you don't want to do it. All right, y'all, take care. I am going to go take some medicine because I don't feel well, and I will see you next time. Take care.